is adding and subtracting inequalities, one-step inequalities. Now, where you find these notes are is if you go into your Unit 2A packet, and it is after today's or last night's homework. So there's last night's homework 13.1 that you had. So after that, if you just flip the page, you have the notes. So I want to talk about these and explain how to add and subtract one-step inequalities. Okay, so I'm going to be using this page. You can have that page out as well. Here's just a copy of that page. So it tells you here that when you're solving, adding, and subtracting inequalities, it's very similar to equations. So you solve inequalities the same way that you solve equations. You undo each side. So I've given you a couple of examples here. First, we have 5 plus x is greater than or equal to 8. So just like in equations, we're going to do the opposite, the inverse. So we add 5 to both, or subtract 5 from both sides. We draw a line, subtract 5, and we get x is greater than or equal to 3. So we can take this, and we think this is the answer. So what we still need to do is check it. That's what we're going to need to do, is check it. So to check it, how you check a problem is you write the original inequality, just like you would on equations. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick a number, any number that is greater than 3. Please don't pick 3. So pick any number greater than 3. So I write the problem, and then I substitute x with any number greater than 3, because that's what it's saying. So I chose 4. So I plug it in. 5 plus 4 is 9. I bring down the 8, and I bring down the inequality sign. And is 9 greater than or equal to 8? Well, that's true. And because that's true, that means that my answer appears correct. So now I want to graph it. So what I'll do is come right here. I'll fill in the 3, because we have an equal sign underneath. And it's saying any number greater than 3 or equal to 3, greater than or equal to 3. So I fill it in and I go to the right. You can see right here that we went to the right. Here's another example. What happens when you have the variable on the right side? Okay, so what we can do with this, this is not a negative sign right there. So this is 8 is greater than y minus 3. So I can just solve it like this. If you prefer to rewrite it, that's absolutely fine. You could do y minus 3. You see how it's pointing to the y minus 3, or it's open to the 8? It's kind of like it's eating the 8. I need to flip that as well. So if you're going to flip, we talked about this yesterday, if you're going to flip the 8 and the y minus 3, you got to flip the sign. So I draw my line. I add 3 to both sides. I have here y is less than 11, or I have 11 is greater than y. So either one of these, they both mean the same thing. It's just a personal preference. What you may like to do is have the variables on the left, kind of like I do. Okay. So what we're going to do now is check it. So what I do is I take this original, okay, 8 is greater than y minus 3, and I'm looking for any number that is less than 11, okay, any number less than 11. So I'm going to plug in 10, and so I'll plug in 10 here. 10 minus 3, it's 7, and 8 is greater than 7, so that's true. And so since that's true, then I know that my answer, my solution, is correct. So now I want to graph it. And so what I do is I'm going to put an open circle on the 11, because there's no equal sign. And it says 11 is greater than y. So 11 is always going to be greater than any other number you put over here. You could also say y is less than 11. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, and so on. So that's why we leave it open, and then we go to the left. We shade to the left. Okay? So what I'd like for you to do is to do a couple of problems here. Okay? And so we have y minus 5 is less than 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line straight down. I'm going to do plus 5 to both sides. And then I have y is going to be, I always tend to write x, but it says y. Y is greater than negative 7 plus 5, well that's going to be negative 2. So I think y is greater than negative 2. So I'm going to check. To check, you start with the original problem. Y minus 5 is greater than 7. I'm going to pick any number greater than negative 2. So I can go negative 1, 0, 1, 2. I guess I'm going to pick, let's see, any number that is greater than negative 2. Let's go with negative 1. Okay, forgot that's supposed to be a negative there. So I'm going to go negative 1 minus 5, I hope is greater than negative 7. So remember, when you're subtracting integers, this is really keep, change opposites. So really it's negative 1 plus negative 5, I hope is greater than negative 7. This gives me negative 6, and negative 6 is greater than negative 7. Well, that's true. So that's true, which means this is the answer there. It is y is greater than negative 2. Here's another one right down here. I want you doing this as well. Draw my line. I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. I'm left with the x. I'm left with this sign, greater than, and 21 minus 12 is 9. So it's 9 is greater than x, or you could say, flip it, put the x and the 9 on opposite sides, but you also have to flip the sign. Because if you notice, see how it's pointing to the x here? It needs to be still pointing to the x here. So x is less than 9, or 9 is going to be less than x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that back in to my check. I'll start with 21 is greater than 12 plus x. I'm going to say any number less than 9. So I'm going to start with 8. So 21, 12 plus 8. 21 I hope is greater than 20. And what do you know? It's true. Because it's true, these right here are correct. So when you're adding and subtracting inequalities, it's the exact same thing as adding and subtracting equations. You just undo it. Now let's go ahead and graph the results. So to graph the results, I'm going to draw a line. I like to put just 3 checkpoints. I like to put the number that I feel is the answer in the middle, and then I can just go negative 3 and negative 1. So this says any number greater than negative 2. So I'm going to put a circle, but I'm not going to fill it in because there's no equal sign right here. And so now I'm going to go to any number greater than 2, I'm going to go to the right. And so there's my graph. Over here for this one, what I'm going to do is draw my line. Go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put 9 in the middle, and I'm saying any number less than 9. So I'm going to not fill it in, and I'm going to draw it to the left. Any number less than 9. And that is how to add and subtract inequalities. This, what you have right here, these are your notes, and these notes are inside your packet, and they are going to help you as well. After you have this and you have done these, what I would like for you to do next is I would like for you to work on some problems from your packet. So what you're going to do is turn, if you would, after this page. We're going to keep turning. We're going to keep turning, and I want you to keep turning until you come to this page right here. This one. It says here negative 12 is greater than x minus 1. So the problems that are circled are the ones that I would like for you to work on in class. There's this page, and then after this page there is another page directly after that, and it is this one right here. Same thing, the circled ones are the ones that I would like for you to work on in class. After you do those, I have the answer key up on the board, and you can check your answers with the answer key or with the sub. And then for this weekend's homework, the ones that are highlighted, those are the ones that I would like for you to do. And those will be due on Tuesday.